days and going to the end of the day here. Just one session left. Everyone wants to go or back home or for clients and so on. So this is my main goal. The next one is I'd like to share with you an experience that I had in a previous job where we could adopt better sprint goals. So that's what I'm saying, that we moved our focus rather than focusing on plan, on goals. And I'd like to share all the challenges that we had, the problems that we faced, the environment that we had, and perhaps you guys can also take some learning from that. I'd like to start with the first goal. I'd like to pick a colleague, can be by the side of you, and just make a change in that person. Make something that person to change, I don't know, rather than, or perhaps moving the badge to another place, moving the watch to another hand. You have to change someone else in 30 seconds. Make a change in someone else. 30 seconds.
Salgo perdiendo.
Yeah, 10 seconds left. Done?
Yes.
Was it easy? To make someone to change something? No? Easy. Was easy, wasn't it? Yeah. Okay, now I would like to go to the second activity. So everyone should have a piece of paper, one of the piece of paper, and I'd like to you, whenever you get a piece of paper, whenever everyone has one piece of paper, I'd like to run the instructions that you have here in this piece of paper. Is that correct? We're going to have 2 minutes max to do that. Is that okay? Okay, I'm going to distribute and then I will start off the clock. You can just pass. You have to have just one.
Toma, te cambio el este que al final nos quedamos con la tarjeta de otro.
Just one piece. If you have more than one, just leave. Just pick one. It's just one. You're going to see that there's group 1, group 2. That's a blank piece. But you should have just one. Does everyone have one at least? So now you have a minute and a half or maximum 2 to run the executing things that you have on your paper. But just pick one. Don't select. You have to run like that. Don't choose the one that has more text. You can pick any group. Just start reading. You have on your sheet, and then start doing it. In 2 minutes. Perhaps you have to stand and find someone else. So you have 30 seconds left.
Sobra 15.
Just hold. I got the best. No. We're not do it. Let's hold. Don't slow it down. I'm testing. 15 seconds left. Okay, folks. If you haven't finished yet, we're gonna have time for that. You can just hold. We're gonna be brief about that right now, but we're gonna have time for that. Just hold a bit. Hold. We can stop now. We're gonna be brief about that, and we're gonna have time to finish our work. So basically, what happened now? We had 3 groups in here, correct? So we had a group 1, which is they had to find someone with a blank piece of paper and tell them step by step in a very detailed plan how to build a paper airplane, correct? And then we had the group 3, which is nothing written on the piece of paper, right? And someone just approached you and started telling you how to build a paper airplane, correct? Did you do that? Did you start executing the steps that person was asking you? Didn't you know how to build a paper airplane? Did you finish, by the way? Those ones that had like the group 1 and group 3, did you finish the paper airplane? Yeah. 1? Wow, good. What happened with the number group 2? They had a single statement saying, build a paper airplane that can fly at least 4 meters. We don't know whether it can fly 4 meters or not. We're going to test it later on. But they knew what to do. Just build a paper airplane. And they had skills to do that. And my question is, the group 1 and the group 3, didn't you know how to build that? Or even, perhaps even better, the way that it's described here. Didn't you know that? Didn't you know how to do that? How can we link back to our daily work? By the way, how many of you here are familiar with Scrum? How many of you are working with Scrum? Scrum? Everyone? And then, are you familiar with Scrum, folks? Yes? Okay, because I'm going to talk about sprint goals, sprint backlog. How we can link to our daily work. How many times we go to sprint planning, come up with sprint backlog, and just start doing that without knowing what we want to achieve? And I'm here, nobody has asked me a question, why are we doing that? What is the purpose? I know that I made it, of course, a trap for the learning purpose, but we have many Scrum Masters, Agile coaches, and we just start doing that without knowing the purpose. And that's what I'd like to explore more today. Do you know why we do that? Or where this mindset come from mainly? This comes from mainly from this time, whenever we were building cars. And what happened mainly in America, there was a big expansion building cars, a big revolution. And there were some plants over there with more than 6,000–7,000 employees from different countries. And the communication was very hard, and learning how to build a car was taking a long time. So Frederick Taylor came to this place, and basically he invented what they called scientific management, which is, I got a bunch of engineers, they assess the problem, they break the problem down in smaller pieces, very specific, and then I give people destinies that specifically I make the best, I can make the best way to do that piece, to build that piece, and then I'll tell you, you move from here to there, you move from here to there. And whenever someone was leaving, another one that would come in and start working there, it was quite easy to pick it up without much communication, right? And we brought this mindset nowadays, but what's happening with our environments? We got those engineers, and we made them laborers, and we expect that they're going to do something like a robot or in a linear way. We tell them how to do and just go and do it. That's why we are having this and focusing a lot on sprint backlog. You have your commitment at sprint planning. I'm going to explore this a bit more. And you don't know what you are doing, what you want to achieve. That was explored a lot here in this conference. to know the purpose. What is the alignment we have in the purpose? What we want to achieve? Before I start sharing my experience, I would like to do some analogy. Let's imagine here that we are all together and we're going to go for a hiking. Okay? We just decide, let's go for a hiking. We are in front of a mountain, and we say, oh, okay, we can see on top of the mountain. And our goal today is to be on the top of the mountain by the end of today. So we have some time, and we know what to do, and then we just decide, okay, let's trace a plan here. I can see that the path going this way. There are some trees over there that I can't see it, but I can see the rest of the path behind those trees, and yeah, we can forecast that in 6-7 hours we can be on the top of the mountain. Then we start walking up, and whenever we cross those trees, we either see now a big lake or a shorter path to go to the top of the mountain. What would we do? Would we change our plan and keep what we have, what we want to achieve, or let's just follow our plan because we had committed to? What would we do? What would you do?
Change the plan.
No, let's keep the plan, and I'm gonna die here. I have to cross. I don't know how to swim, and I have to cross this lake. We're gonna adapt. And why don't we do this within our sprints? Because we committed to a plan, and we just follow that plan. So there's no much collaboration, mainly from the developers, because they don't know what they're doing. They're just following a plan, right? So basically, to clarify here, what I want to say is, a sprint goal in Scrum is what we want to achieve. In the next 2 weeks, or usually 2 weeks, between 1 and 4 weeks usually, what we are trying to achieve here. What is the purpose of spending 2 weeks working something during this time? And the sprint backlog is basically our plan. And here I pay attention to main or keywords. Is how, the plan, we intend, and we use a lot of commitment or commit to. We intend to do is a forecast. So we want to be on top of the mountain, our goal. We have a timeline for that, so a time box, we believe that we can achieve that. However, we adapt our plan based on the context. Every step further, we reassess our context and decide the next step. This is what happened on a daily basis in a Scrum team or a tool. I'm talking about a team level, but it was discussed a lot here in terms of Roman explored a bit today at product level. So if we have a product vision, we would be aligning with the why we are doing that. So OKRs, hypotheses, they are all trying to bring alignment. And we're going to explore this a bit more later on. Now, to keep it real, let's go deeper into the context or the experience that I had. So we were working in distributed teams. The teams were co-located, but there were a couple of teams in Dublin, Ireland, where I'm based to, and there were some teams in America. The PO was in America, some SMEs, all the business side was pretty much in America. It was an American company. So as you can imagine, we have some barriers in terms of ways of working, cultures, and so on. The product, I'm going to call him product owner, because he was the really one that's making decisions in terms of the product side. His role was product manager. He was very focused on the plan. So basically, when we were not sprint planning, he was saying, okay, so we are committing to this, and during the sprint review, he was like, why didn't you commit to that? Why didn't you deliver that? And there was a lot of friction, because there was some pressure to deliver what we were committing to. Hopefully, you were luckier than me. You will never see that. So I'll tell you that there was some kind of micromanagement. So not throughout the sprint, I have to be honest, but mainly during the sprint planning and the sprint review, there was some pressure in there. Of course, our office in Dublin, it was a brand new office, so the culture there was different than the one that we had in America. So there were some clashes in the way that we were working as well. So there was a sense of a feeling of we against them. The team was very reactive. Feedback during sprint review, it was taken like as a very bad thing. So there was some reaction. The team was very defensive in that sense. As you can imagine, nobody likes to work in this kind of environment, and not many, but we had 2 or 3 people leaving for that reason. So there's something that we should care about. And I was Scrum Master of that team, and I said, okay, we definitely have a problem, and I have to act, I have to do something. And then I was studying for my certifications and so on. I said, yeah, we don't have sprint goal. Our sprint goal is to deliver those bunch of stories. And then I said, okay, that's a good idea. Let's move to goals. And guess what? It was a big fail. Do you know why it was a big fail? How many of you here that changed someone else and that people that had something changed just reverted back? So if you had to switch badges, did you revert it back, or did you revert the change back, or do you still keep the change? Is there anyone that kept the change?
Yeah.
3, 4, 5, or 6 people? And what about the rest? We're talking about 15 minutes ago, and we just rolled back the change that happened. Why? Because we are trying to change people. People have habits, they have some beliefs, and we are trying to change them. And that's what I try to do. I just said, okay, guys, I have a brilliant idea. I didn't say that, but I said, that's gonna work for sure. Let's move to sprint goals. We don't have purpose, let's work with purpose and so on. And I could see their faces on video conferencing that we were using. Yeah, just another Scrum stuff. No adoption, no friction. They didn't see why. Angel was explaining, just covering this in the session before this one here. If they don't understand the why, the purpose, will you adopt or start doing something if you don't see meaning for that? You're gonna just, this is just another stuff, right? And so I started like thinking, how could I do? What can I do differently? And I remember, this is from the university, that about the general system thinking, which is, it was explored by Lisa as well. Whenever you change something, a team, the rest of the team will adapt to it. Or in other words, if we have an environment and we make a change in the environment, the people within that environment, the agents in that environment, they're going to adapt to it. And I just read about the Roman Spiegler template. I just found out this on the internet, and he also gave a session today about product vision and so on. And then I said, I'm going to go over what is this template, and then later on how that helped us out. So basically, Roman said, okay, this is a tool to help us out to craft sprint goals. So first of all, we need to know why we are spending those 2 weeks. What we want to achieve. Sorry, I'm using 2 weeks because I was using 2-week iteration. What we want to achieve within the next iteration, or within the next type box. Is that enough? No. We also need to define the method we're gonna use. So if I'm creating a prototype, or if I'm doing a spike, validate something, or even build an increment, then I'm going to define the method, how we will assess what we've done. But I also have to have metrics to compare to. Otherwise, they are vague. We don't know okay, let's improve something. Improve how much, on what. So we have to be specific. We have to have a metric to compare to. So during the sprint review, it's going to be way easier to compare, say, okay, whether we achieved or not. We go from abstract to something more measurable, specific and measurable. I'm going to explore this as well. Yeah, so how do we know that the goal has been met? For those who don't know, Roman Pichler, I've just learned today how to pronounce his name, Pichler. I would definitely advise to go to his blog. He has this template there, you can download it. You have also templates to create product vision and so on. A lot of good material in terms of product development. So, what I started doing then, rather than try to force people to use that, I just let them to do the way that we were doing the sprint planning. However, at the end of the sprint planning, I started bringing that template and just asking folks, based on the stories that we have here in our backlog at this moment, what is our what we want to achieve in the next 2 weeks? What we want to bring during the sprint review? And then start a conversation. It didn't happen straightforward, of course. It took some time, and I'm going to cover the challenges that we had. But we start having a conversation. Okay, in the next 2 weeks, we're going to try to get ready for the release, or we want to validate if our infrastructure is able to cope with amount of requests that we're going to get in the next Black Friday. Something like that. So we start having this conversation, but rather than, it was afterwards. So we had our sprint backlog, we had our plan, and then I started saying, okay, how can we fill it out, that template? And we struggled a lot, and I'm going to explore it a little bit more. However, the product owner started seeing value on that. He started like, okay, that's what I'm focusing on here, I'm getting here on the sprint planning, so I know what. And then he started like shifting to defining what we want to do in this sprint, and then he knew that he could come to the sprint review and say, okay, what we were intending to achieve, and then inspecting based on that. So he started letting the team. Why? Sure. Okay. Not about 40. So just got the 5 minutes. Okay. I was expecting another 15. Anyway, so he started focusing more on custom value. What is he gonna get in this sprint? And that's after some time. The collaboration, as he led the team to help people, or he led the team to work more on the how, we started having much more collaboration throughout the sprint between the product owner and the dev team. Because the dev team had an idea how to build something, and then they would go to the product owner whenever they had a doubt, or whenever they had an idea, they say, okay, look at this. This can be better in this way, or this we won't be able to do it. There was some relation and some conversation. So the collaboration started to emerge. At some point, the product owner started shift his focus and start saying, bring a proposal of ideas. Say, oh, okay, what about guys in the next 2 weeks if we do this? And they start having conversations, shifting to this way, starting by this way. So the first one I would advise, if you want to adopt, is to not force them to use, but start asking them how to fill that out, and the shift happened. Some examples I'm going to go through quickly here. So you know about SMART goals. I would say that it's very hard to get them all the five or six items very correct. I always focus more on what we can measure and something that has to be specific. So it has to be specific, and we can measure that. So some examples, we would get something ready for the release, or also a hypothesis. We had a hypothesis, we discussed in many talks yesterday and today. We don't know. We have an idea about the value, but we don't know until the customer is using it. I think it was Nestor yesterday. He mentioned the story that the guys spent 5 billion years to then discover that nobody wanted to use that, right? So we can definitely test an assumption within a sprint. Or let's suppose, well, we're gonna have Black Friday, so let's test if our infrastructure supports the amount of requests we're gonna get. That starts giving guidance on what, on purpose, and that opens a lot of space to define how. So specific and measurable. Other 2 examples to improve some work on page and complete all the stories that we had in our sprint backlog. Does it look okay for you? Are all of them measurable and specific? Get some more. While we think. How can I know how much I improved the welcome page? I can't. Look at those 2. How do I know that I improved something? I have to be more specific. I want to improve the performance whenever I'm loading the welcome page by X%. So something that we can definitely measure. That's too vague. What about this one? Have you ever seen this as sprinkle? Hopefully you are luckier than I am, but I've seen many times. This, whenever we set a sprint goal to finish the sprint backlog, that says that we are going to the top of the mountain, but I'm going to focus on the plan. Just follow the plan and do it. There's no purpose on this. This is basically the plan, the sprint backlog. Thanks. So just a few more examples how we can reward that. Rather than to improve some performance, tell specifically what we want to improve by how much %. Something that you can, again, measure. People know what they're going to aim like at that point. Perhaps you get even better results. If you want to validate some hypothesis, be more specific in terms of the hypothesis that you want to validate. If you want to enhance something, be more specific in terms of what service you want to improve, so that you can measure and really see if you are adding customer value. You are bringing purpose, but you also can, whenever you, how many of you, or how many of us, because I include that, when we release a feature, we measure the impact of that. We just, okay, we think that it's going to make a lot of value, we release that and that's it. Right? So this helps you to, later on, whenever we release this in production, to really see if we are adding that customer value. Exploring a bit of the challenges that we have. One sprint goal only, that was very hard, mainly at the beginning. We could see two, sometimes even 3 goals, which is not ideal because it doesn't give focus to us. And that was unveiling another problem. We had so many work in progress. We didn't have focus. So that helped us out to say, okay, we need to focus on some things at a time. So be careful about that. In the current teams that I'm working on right now, this is a problem. We are not able to come up with sprint goals because we have too many work in progress related to many blockers that we have that is related to many dependencies that the teams have. So it starts to bring some dysfunctions that you may have. You may have to fix this before you end up having proper goals. Vague goals, we also had like improved welcome page. We had vague goals at the beginning with many work in progress. It's something that you have to try and learn with that. As if someone tells you how to do, you may understand, but whenever you try to apply this, you're going to see some problems and you're going to learn with that. This more with the team. The team had the sprint goal, but they were not using that. I printed it out, put it on by our board, but that didn't work, to be honest. So they were not focused on the goal at the beginning. So what I started doing is, they were having the daily scrum, and at the end of the scrum, I was asking, so we have our plan here, I love physical boards for visual management. With this plan here, okay, everything that we just discussed, are we going towards our goal? Are we going towards what we want to achieve within the sprint? And just be careful with the words, the questions that we use during the daily scrum. Because what I did yesterday, what I'm going to do today, is there any impediment? That's quite leading to status report. We are missing the second part of every single question, which is what I did yesterday that will help me out to achieve the sprint goal, or the team. What I'm going to do today that's going to help us to move towards the sprint goal, and is there any impediment that's preventing us to move towards our goal? So start adding the second part of the questions, and then you may realize something that you need to fix. Because if you don't have a sprint goal, you don't know where you're going to. And I would say it takes time. It took us, I would say, perhaps a couple of months until we joined that mindset. It's like going to the gym. Someone can tell you how to do an exercise, but whenever you start doing it, you may feel a bit weird, and it takes some time until you get like the right movements. It takes time. Just go and do it. Some benefits going straight then. So the daily scrum started to be way more focused, way more productive. The team was running the daily scrum without me was there at the beginning, and at some point they really start doing their Scrum, which should be. The sprint reviews start being way more effective rather than just a demo. We were having like a really collaboration and feedback to each other. So the opinion of, or the feedback from the product owner was way more receptive to the team because they were collaborating throughout the sprint. So we started having more focus because we identified that we had too many work in progress. Collaboration improved throughout the sprint, for sure. Motivation, the low morale that had at the beginning also changed, switched to more motivated guys because they were part of the future. They were deciding what to do and how to build things. Their ideas were listened to as well, so they were taken into consideration. Flexibility throughout the sprint, so we had a plan initially, but the sprint backlog was changing throughout the sprint. And finally, we want to serve self-organized teams. But if they don't know what to do, if we just provide the whole, how are they going to self-organize? They're going to be just robots following a plan. So let's give purpose to our teams. And in terms of next steps, I left the organization after some time. After we were implementing this part, we were like at this level, talking about sprint goals. But our next step was to link those sprint goals to the release goals, bring release goals, which we didn't have, and start having release goals and how the sprint goal would be linked to our release goal. For those who are familiar with the OKRs, it's kind of the same idea, how we are aligned with higher goals. For me, business agility is high alignment and being very simplistic in this way. High alignment and high autonomy. So if we know what to do and we have autonomy and they're skilled to do it, we're going to perform way better. So again, this is from Ron Fischler. You can explore this on his blog. He explains exactly for every single step. There are frameworks and a lot of material on it. Some final words here. If you don't know where you're going to, you're gonna end some place else. Well, so if the teams are just running and our plans, they don't know where they're going to, they're gonna just be lost. So that's why it's important to be specific in our goals, because we have a target and we know what we want to do. This is a personal thing that I try to do, is rather than managing people or forcing things to people and convince them by forcing out something which doesn't work, I try to manage the environment. So I try to tweak the environment and see how they adapt to it. So if our retrospective is not working, I try to bring a new way of facilitation, a new element. If our data are not good, I try to identify something and work with them to bring a new element where we can experiment and see how it works, whether it works or not. But I always try to bring in a new element, tweaking our system and see how the system reacts. And finally, that was mentioned as well. If we have purpose and we ensure that our teams have skills to achieve that purpose, just let them or leave space to them to perform the job. Maybe grant autonomy. Grant autonomy is not the right worded, in my opinion. I brought this, the grant autonomy. Autonomy is not something that you grant, really. It's not something, now you have autonomy. It's based on the actions that we have on a daily basis. So just leave room for people to perform the job, knowing what to do, having skills to perform that, like to build a paper airplane. Leave room to them, and you're going to be amazed by the results, the outcomes you get. And finally, we're going to craft our sprint goal. It's going to be a sprint goal of 1 or 2 minutes. However, we're going to create a messenger, or you guys start to create now a messenger, right? It's for the COS 2018, and our goal is to validate whether a paper airplane can fly often to be a feedback tool two speakers. So that's the hypothesis that we're gonna validate, and we start building this. What are the methods that we're gonna use? We're gonna create a prototype. We're gonna work on a prototype, and then we're gonna demo all together at the end. So hold it. Don't do it before. We're gonna do all this at the end, okay? And so that's gonna be nice in terms of experimentation. Each person can be seen as a team. How many different baby airplanes we're gonna have? Think about that. And the methods we're gonna use, well, I wasn't expecting like this size of the room. Perhaps I should increase the metrics in this way, but we can validate at least 4 minutes. And the metric we can compare to is whether our paper airplane can fly at least 4 meters of distance. So what I would ask you is, we can use, if you want to use this sheet of papers, you can. If you want to use this one here, also works, because it's a feedback, it's even written here. So build your paper airplane. If you can write down a feedback, how I can improve this, how can it be more useful, whether you like it or not, a smart face, a sad face, anything that can help me out to improve, continuous improvement, that would be very appreciated. We can do this in a minute or two, and then we all together will validate our product. So 1.5 minutes to build that, and then we validate our product. Whatever we have done, just hold and heads up whatever we have is done, then I can see where we are ready for our sprint review or not. Just a couple more seconds. Wait, because I don't have a recorder. No, that was it's expensive to experiment that. So does everyone have it? Wait. I'm gonna count up to 3, and then you deliver it to your stakeholder. Okay? I'm your stakeholder. Are you ready? No. Okay. Sorry. Look around. How many different paper airplanes we have? If we had all the instruction that we have in the group 1, we would have all the same. So it's part of innovation as well. So think about that. We have so many, I can see here, so many different paper airplanes. And if we were having just following a plan, like one person create how to do that, we would have just one single case. Alright? Is everyone ready? Yes? Yeah? So, 3, 2, 1. Richard, come on. Thanks everyone. Now we have time for questions.